Fire EMS Deputy Chief Mike Patti, also the Shelton Fire Marshal. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. It's good to see you in here. Going to do a little storm cleanup today. Let's talk about how things went, how you think everyone reacted, and all that good stuff.
I think that by and large, I think everybody did real well. Kudos to both the city and Mason County's public works folks for keeping the streets open as well as they did.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of folks who were kind of upset about the berms left on the shoulders, but when you consider trying to keep the arterials open and then the secondary roads and then the neighborhood roads, that's a tough job.
Yeah.
That we don't see the kind of snowfall that we saw here more than about every 10 years or so.
What Wendy Smith from the Port of Shelton yesterday was saying on that Friday or something, she said 3 inches an hour or something like that of snow come down.
It was unbelievable.
How do you even?
Yeah, it was. I would come into the station and go out on another call, and within an hour, and I was scraping snow off of my truck. It was unbelievable. We had 5 medic units going, and the engines going, and it was all we could do to keep those rigs on the road. But the public works crews did a phenomenal job.
Sure.
One of the problems that we had, we were doing okay staying on the road, but were people's driveways. Especially the folks out in the county where they have long driveways.
Yeah.
And ended up having to hike in some distances to get to people's houses, or those folks would have to, bring them out to us. And it's just what happens when you live in a rural area.
You got a long driveway.
I was going to ask you about that. That's the exact question I had for you. Is how do you? I'm used to houses being kind of close together where we used to live, and sidewalks, and you go 10 feet to the front door. How do you respond? It's amazing that with these longer driveways, I mean, what's the best scenario? Like, you get as close as you can, or you can only go to the street?
We'll do the best we can with what we've got.
Yeah.
We had, it's no secret, we had that fatality house fire off Mason Lake Road last week, and the travel trailer was about 250 feet off of the road.
Yeah. And
the crews got there, and they had to hand lay about 250 feet of supply line before they could put the attack line down. It's just the way it is. The rigs aren't built to go through 1.5 feet of snow.
I see a picture on social media of you and the crew carrying people out as well.
Right.
Tell me about that whole process.
Well, I wasn't at that particular scene, but it's just the case of the firefighters in the county doing what you have to do to get the patients and then bringing them out to the ambulances. We've got, I think, probably 2 or 3 4-wheel drive ambulances in all of Mason County. We aren't. The emergency services aren't equipped for the kind of snow that we had. It's a 10-year thing.
And you can't necessarily budget those kind of things because, as you mentioned, it's every 10 years.
Right.
You can say, well, we're going to need to spend another $50,000 on upgrading this rig for a storm that may be never come or 10, 15 years from now.
And we were asking ourselves that is, do we budget for a 4-wheel drive ambulance? Because we've got 3 ambulances in the district plus taking over Medic 1. Do we set up one of the ambulances for a 4-wheel drive? And that's a question right now that our directors, our commissioners are thinking about right now, is do we set up one of the ambulances as a 4-wheel drive? Right. So it's something that certainly this last week has had us sit down and think about.
The other thing too about houses, long driveways. I know you got a long driveway. Do you have a address marker at the end?
We do
at the end of the thing, so people can see that.
Yes,
that's
very clearly visible.
And that's what I wanted to talk about today is addressing, and we've talked about it on the program here before, Jeff. Is marking your houses with addresses. If you have a long driveway, making sure that the addresses are conspicuous on the mailboxes or on a post at the base of your driveway. And if you're in town here, making the address numbers so they're conspicuous on the house itself. We drive by routinely and we'll look at a house and go, is that the address we're looking for? And then we'll have to go to a house before or after to try to guess the addresses. The numbers that you see in the hardware stores are 4 inches tall, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, if they're not lit, they're really hard to see.
Yeah.
So we would appreciate, as well as law enforcement and the medics, we would really appreciate using numbers at least 6 inches high, having them on a contrasting background. If your house is white, making the numbers dark, or vice versa. and making it easy to see.
I've always wondered, do emergency vehicles, are they dispatched with like GPS, or do these drivers know exactly where these places are? Like, I know GPS is spotty in counties like Mason County, especially with all the tree cover and everything else. It's hard, but if you're going to an emergency, let's say an ambulance, are they running on GPS, or are they just their knowledge of like certain intersections and things like that? Or how do they get there?
Run. What I would like to be able to use the answer is to say that our folks are so intimately familiar with every area of the county that they can say, we're going right here. Here's where that address should be. That's just not the way it is, especially as fast as this county is being built. We're finding roads that weren't in place a month ago.
Sure.
So we're going by guess or by golly a lot of times and looking for the correct. In a lot of places, we're finding incorrect addresses as well. They're not in sequence. So that's another thing that we're also running into.
So 6-inch letters, reflective.
Reflective would be great because we're using spotlights, to shine to look for them. So if you can find the letters that are reflective, that's great. Again, on a contrasting background. If you can turn on your porch light, that's great. Anything that will make it visible from the road will really help us out. If you live on a long driveway where the driveway forks off a couple of times before we get to your house, make sure at each fork that your address is visible as well.
Smart.
Oh yeah, good idea.
That really helps us.
How's that new big rig of yours?
Oh, it's doing great. It's still yellow.
It certainly is.
Yes, it is. It sticks out, and we've got a lot of comments about it. The guys have kind of referred to it now as Big Bird, and there's nothing like it in the county. And if you see it coming down the road, you definitely know what it is.
Central Mason Fire and EMS Deputy Chief Mike Patti and Shelton Fire Marshal as well. And always good talking with you. And yeah, sounds like for the most part everything was as best as it could be.
Yep.
Considering the conditions.
I think we dodged a bullet. Things could have always gone better, but I think we did very well. I think all the fire departments and the law enforcement agencies all did very well.
Well, thanks for coming and checking on me.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Well. That was good.
Thanks a lot.
Thank